Greetings everyone. I'm Kusagra Bachai, a student here in Babylon National School, and today, for today's episode of Babylon Kitcast, I'm joined by Palak Khatkamkar, a fellow 10th grader and a beloved friend of mine hailing all the way from India. How are you, Palak?
I'm fine, Kushagra. How are you?
I'm fine too.
That's good to know.
So, as I have mentioned earlier, she's from India. So, what was your initial thought when you came to Nepal, about Nepal?
Initial thought, nothing really of a initial thought because I was very young that time and I didn't realize that I was in a very different country. When I came to Nepal, before I came to Nepal, I did not know there was a country named Nepal. I mean, it was all after I came here. So that was probably the only thought.
So, did it feel like a completely different country, or were you accustomed to it?
It didn't feel like a completely different country because both India and Nepal have similar cultures and religions, and both the main factor is that both are a Hindu country, so it wasn't a completely different country for me.
So, that being said, I think it was easier for you to get used to Nepal.
Yeah, it was quite easy, not hard. It was fine. I mean, if I have to talk about the language, in the first initial days, I was not that used to the language, but I grew about it, and it's going fine for now.
How well are you fending off against the language barrier right now?
I mean, pretty. I know Nepali to a certain level, okay? I'm not that bad in Nepali. I do pretty well, so it's going nice.
It's going nice.
Yeah.
Can you understand Nepali?
Obviously, I mean, I've been staying here for quite long time, so yeah.
What was the age when you came to Nepal?
No, there are two stories. First, because when I came here, it was 2013 during the earthquake time. So I was very young that time, like probably 9, 10. And then later on, I came back again when I was 12. So different ages.
Is it?
Yeah.
So, as you have mentioned earlier, it was easy for you to get used to it. And moving further with going with the topic, the culture and traditions, how easy was it for you to adapt to it? Like because I know Indian and Nepalese culture, they follow quite the same baseline type of thing, just the
Yeah.
different names and all. How quickly did you accustom to it?
Pretty easily. I mean, it wasn't a big task. It's just the difference in names, as you said. Especially for Diwali and Tihar, I was pretty confused in the beginning what Tihar is, but then as I grew older, I got to know that it's just Diwali. It's just a different name, so it was pretty easy to get used to it.
So, what differences do you find in between those two, Nepalese and Indian culture?
Not quite big difference because both are just neighboring countries. We both know they are neighboring countries, and in India it's more like a fast-paced country, but like Nepal here it goes the things go a bit slower than it goes in India. That's the major difference that I realized. Like,
Is
there's
it?
not a big difference.
So there are a lot more similarities than differences, right?
Yeah, very much similar.
So speaking about the traditions and all, how well do you like Raksha Bandhan?
Raksha Bandhan, it's a very nice festival. I mean, we have holiday that day, and back in India, by the way, I'm not sure about here. We might have.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do. And in India, it's a very big festival. A lot of my brothers and sisters, they enjoy this holiday very much because it just helps them to get back together, spend time, even if it's just for a day. It helps them to be together and enjoy to the fullest. So it's a very nice festival. I enjoy this festival.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a reason for family gathering, right?
Yeah, pretty nice excuse.
Yeah. Even I like Raksha Bandhan. It's because the Rakhi that you tie your brothers and sisters, it's meant to protect
Protect.
them from evil, right?
Yeah, the brother basically promises the sister that he'll protect her.
Oh.
So
And the sister gets gifts
yeah,
as well.
that's a modern era now.
Oh, is it? So, moving on with the topic Rakhi, what differences are there in the festival Rakhi? Like in Rakhi, what differences are there in culture? Like there may be some differences
Yeah,
between Nepal and India.
no, I don't know about Nepal, India, but I've realized in India, like in the north where I come from, they usually tie very colorful Rakhis, and when we go to the west side of India, like the Gujarat and all, they tie the Rakhi with like this thread which is known as the Mauli, and that's one difference. And even in the south, they have a quite similar experience as North, because both of them, like both the sides, they just tie the Rakhi and then put on a tika on the brother's forehead.
So it's quite same but different at the same time.
Yeah, it's same but different. It's similar.
Yeah, I see. And speaking about the cultures, can you tell me how Rakhi was originated or the history of Rakhi?
There are actually a lot of beliefs about this, but the main that I grew up with, that I was told from my mom and my dad, was this specific story where one time Lord Krishna, he cut off his finger, and Draupadi, she tied like a scarf thing around his finger, and then later on it stopped the bleeding. So it just went on from there as like a symbol, like
To protect.
yeah, to
Oh.
protect. Yeah, that's the one that I usually, heard from my mom and my grandmother. So it's a very popular belief. If you ask anybody in India, they would probably tell you this story only. So yes.
So are there any other stories except this one?
Yeah, there are, but I'm not quite, known
Yes,
about it.
So there are a lot of myths and all about how it originated.
Yeah, a lot. I've heard like 6, 7 from my mother alone. So
Wow.
there's a lot.
So can you tell me about the importance, because we have discussed what Rakhi is, how it's done. So
Yeah.
now the importance. In your opinion, how do you think Rakhi is important? Raksha Bandhan is important to us for strengthening the relationships and everything along the lines.
I mean, you see, Raksha Bandhan, it's basically bond, protecting the bond that you have between your brother and you. So for me, it helps to, the sister just gets a hint like, oh, her brother is going to protect her from anything that may happen in the future. So it's basically strengthening the bond between a brother and a sister. And the sister, usually, she also wishes for her brother's, prosperity, and also it's all about strengthening the bond between two people, and to make them realize that they'll be there for each other, in the future.
So it's just like a promise to
Yeah,
the
it's a promise,
to the sister.
technically.
So, can you tell me how it's celebrated in India? Because from the beginning to the end, because I feel like there must be some differences. Like, as you said, the Mauli and all.
Yeah.
I think there might be more differences. Can you describe about that?
So you asked about how I celebrate it, or
Yeah. How you celebrated it?
see, in North, where I come from, it's usually a very big celebration. When first of all, I usually go to the brother's house myself. It's not like we gather at one place. I usually go to their house, turn by turn, and then I tie them Rakhi. There, it's a very rare time when they all come together, so I just tie them right there. But when I tie them the Rakhi, there is a plate, like, that thal thing.
Yeah.
They you put on that tika and all and stuff, and I feed them a bit sweet, whatever is available, and then they give me my gift. I mean, I don't expect anything because I'm fine with anything, but it's usually accompanied by a gift, small gift, just as a promise, like, you get me.
So, how big is your family?
Oh, it's a joint family. It's a very big family. My aunt, my uncles, and grandmother, we all live together, right? Back in India. So it's a very big family, and when it's festivals, that's the one thing that I love about festivals, because we all are together. It's a very nice way, It just helps me to feel more comfortable around them, because I live in Nepal and I'm not more connected with them. So when I go back there, and when I'm sitting with them enjoying, it feels very nice.
So, how many brothers do you have that you tie Rakhi to?
I tie Rakhi to all my brothers, but this year, since I'm not able to be in India for Raksha Bandhan, I think I'll probably just tell one of my aunt to buy the Rakhis and tie them. But I think five, six of them.
So Rakhi is incoming, as you might know. So
Yeah.
what are you planning to do? Like you know that you tie Rakhi to your already existing relations with your brothers and all. Are you planning to make and craft new relationships with anybody else as like brothers and sisters?
Yeah, nice question, because I'm actually planning to tie Rakhi to one of my nice friend. He's also a fellow 10th grader. I think he's your friend also. I plan on tying him a Rakhi because I think he has been a very great friend of mine and is very much like my brother. So I plan to tie him a Rakhi.
So you plan to tie him Rakhi?
Yes.
So for making you brothers and sisters.
Yeah,
So legally.
legally.
And you mentioned that it's a really big family that you got back in India, and then that you celebrated quite a lot by tying Rakhi.
Yeah.
So can you tell me about some memorable experiences that you have had?
There is not like specifically a memorable event, but I think it was the one that I, clearly remember was once when it was Raksha Bandhan, and since that time all of them were together. It was a very rare event that all of them appeared together, and that time we just randomly planned like, oh, let's go out, let's explore outside, and we just made a random plan to go to a random restaurant. And that day it was a very fun night because we were up till like 1 or 2. We were just talking, having fun. So it was a quite a memorable event, I'd say.
Is it? It must be fun.
Yeah, it was very fun.
So can you tell me about how it was such a memorable event? Because what did you do that it became engraved in your mind?
See, my family, we are a very, I think they are a very fun people because whenever we come together, we never have anything that's, that would make me bored. We usually also have like one time, we even did like small games and all for the kids, and it just goes like that. And that time it was because we were in a restaurant, and me and my cousins, we were playing around, and the adults were obviously talking their own stuff. So for me it was very memorable because me and my cousins got to do whatever we wanted, and we just roamed around and had fun.
So what was your age during that time?
I'd say 10 or 11. Yeah, it was very early.
10 or 11.
Yeah.
And how old were your cousins? Or are you the oldest of your family?
Me and my one more cousin, we are the oldest, and others
Same
are,
age?
yeah, same age. He's 10 months older than me. So technically he is the oldest, but age wise we are the same age. And I'm the oldest sister, so technically everything comes on me if they do anything bad, because you're the oldest one. Why didn't you pay attention? Obviously.
So it seems like Rakhi is one of your favorite
Yeah.
festivals. R- Leaving Diwali.
Yeah.
Can you tell me favorite parts of it? Like what made it your made it to your liking, the Rakhi? What aspects of it did you like?
See, it's like it's just a 1 day celebration. It's not that big of a celebration, but that one specific day I get to meet my brothers. Usually my brothers, like, they live very far away from me, so we don't really meet each other that often. And like during Raksha Bandhan, it's the time that I get to meet them after such a long time, and just talk about whatever has happened with us. And it's just because of that I love Raksha Bandhan.
So meeting your cousins and speaking with them is your favorite part.
Yeah.
Isn't isn't it supposed to be a protection or something? Aren't you happy that so many cousins and all you tie them Rakhi and then it makes you feel protected?
Yeah, I mean, my cousins, they're very amazing. I love each one of them. They usually we fight a lot, like a lot. Since I'm the oldest one, I had the most annoying list because I used to annoy them a lot. But when Raksha Bandhan comes, suddenly they all become very kind to me.
Oh.
So it's a very nice thing to know that at least they remember I'm their sister.
I see. So, going through the brothers topic, what are your specific gifts that you got that you really liked?
Oh, there are actually quite a lot. One of my brother, every year, he gives me the same gift, like a small bottle, and it's such a cute bottle that he gives. And he's like 5 years old, younger than me, so it's such a cute gift to receive from him, like a bottle. And then other of my brothers, they just give me like a celebratory, those chocolates that we get,
Ah, yes.
those, or either money.
Either money.
Yeah.
So, talking about going into the topic of bottle, do you lose it every year?
Oh my god. The bottles, I definitely lost those that I got for Raksha
Oh,
Bandhan.
wow.
Or maybe I just left it behind in India. I don't have any idea about it. Probably my mother knows it. And the bottles I use right now, they are definitely not the Raksha Bandhan ones, but I don't think I lost all of them.
You didn't
Probably
lost all
have
of them.
2 3.
So this year, can you be able to meet with your cousins?
No, not really.
Right.
It's literally like a week or something, and I don't think I'll be able to meet them.
So you are only going to be tying Rakhi to one person.
No, technically yes. Like in real life, I'll be tying the Rakhi to one person, but over there in India, my aunt would buy 4 5 Rakhis and she would tie them in behalf of me.
So it counts.
Yeah, it counts technically.
So can you tell me about like what part of it, the gifts and all, what part of it do you like so that it would get repeated again? Like to your brothers out there who is watching the videos, what would be the gifts that you would like to get in Rakhi?
I prefer anything. I'm not judgy or anything about the gifts. I would love anything that they give me. But if I had to choose, I'd probably say like a dress or something.
Dress or
Maybe.
something? Oh. So I think you know how Rakhi was in the traditional times.
Yeah.
So can you tell me how has it evolved, like from the traditional time to the modern times that we have today?
See, the main difference is about the culture of giving gifts to your sisters. I think nowadays people are more they care more about the gifts rather than the Rakhi or the actual festival, because back then when I was a kid, I really valued the Raksha Bandhan festival, and I would obviously any sister would wait for a gift, right? But that time it was like even if you didn't receive a gift, it was fine, it was normal. But nowadays people, they really want the gift first. Like, I'll tie you the Rakhi later, just give me my gift. And I think that's not a great thing, because Raksha Bandhan, it's mostly about the bond, and if you want the gift first, there is no point of celebrating it. And in modern times people usually do that. They need the gift first. They don't need the protection and all. They need the gift first. So that's not a great thing.
So Rakhi, in your opinion, Rakhi became materialistic over the years.
Yeah, it's very annoying to me that mostly the sisters, not I'm not saying all sisters, right? I'm saying few of them, they only care about the gifts nowadays, and it's not nice.
So it's they are not following the culture; they are just wanting the gifts.
No, you can't say that, because the thing, it started as the culture, it went on like gifting the sister, right? But it's to a point that they should expect, but not much.
Not much,
Yeah.
exactly. So, in your opinion, you are saying me that the Rakhi gifts is supposed to be taken as a continuation of the culture.
Yeah.
The culture that it says that we have to give gifts to our sisters.
I'm not sure about this, right? If this thing started from the very beginning, but as since I was born, I've obviously been seeing that you gift your sisters, but it's also that if you don't receive a gift, that's also fine. You should accept that.
That's nice. And going further deep into the cultures and traditions, except Rakhi, what else do you find interesting in Nepal? Well, like what I mean is, what else is there in festivals and traditions? What else is there in Nepal that you feel like it's better than India?
Probably the festival Dasai, because back in India, Dasai is not celebrated that widely. I mean, it is, obviously it is, but in Nepal it's like a very big thing, and you guys really enjoy this festival. We have like a 1 month holiday for that. So I think this festival is very amazing here. I feel very fun seeing everybody enjoy in Dasai, especially even in my building. People there, they really enjoy. They come there, and then they literally, they have the, it feels so nice seeing them enjoy, because back in India, Dasera is not that huge. It's huge, but it's not that huge. You get what I mean?
Yeah. So the weather and all is also very nice
Yeah.
during that time, very mild. And going further deep, the first time that you came to Nepal and celebrated the festival Dasai, what was your first thinking, way of thinking? What was your first impressions of Dasai?
Genuinely, I didn't think much about it, because it was the same thing. You follow the same, pattern of it. But maybe the rituals, some of the rituals were a bit different than in India. That's the only thing that I it hit my mind. But other than that, it was normal.
So can you tell me something something memorable about Dasai that you did all of these years that you have stayed in Nepal?
I usually just prefer going. I'm not here in Nepal during the Tihar, but last time I think I was like 2 years before I was here in Nepal only due to the pandemic. So that year, what I remember is the room owner. We all came together and they invited my mother and me to come celebrate with them. So that was a very nice thing because they invited us, they felt the need of doing it. It was very sweet of them. So that's a thing that really it goes on in my mind a lot.
So going on in order, orders of festival. So after Dasai, Tihar is there, right?
Yes.
So what are your opinions on Tihar? How do you like it?
I think it's one of my favorite festivals, as I mentioned before, because during Diwali, like Tihar, Diwali, whatever you say it, in India, when I used to be in India, my cousins and I, we used to play fire the firecrackers, and it was a very fun thing because we didn't care if it was like the morning 5 or the evening 10 or whatever. We would do it every day, and it was very fun. I mean, technically it annoyed the neighbors, but it was the only time we get to enjoy.
Yeah.
So we had we lived to our fullest that time. So it's one of my favorite festivals.
So what type of person are you? Like there are people who absolutely hate firecrackers.
Oh.
And there are people who like firecrackers. Or are you in the middle?
I think I'm in the middle because I prefer some firecrackers are nice, but the other ones which make very loud noise, I get very annoyed by them. But I can't say anything because I grew up with the same thing. So
So that's nice. So we have a popular culture, tradition, whatever you want to call it in Nepal, to do the what do you call it? Rangoli, yeah,
Eh.
rangoli. To do the rangoli in your house to make it
decoration basically.
as a decoration.
Yeah.
So do you do that in India?
Yeah, we do that a lot actually. Like every day during Dasera and Diwali, they change the rangoli every day, like
Oh.
every morning. I've seen my aunt last time when I went to India. I always saw my aunt, sitting outside and making the rangoli every single day and a completely different and new design. So it was very mesmerizing because she's very nice in making those rangolis. I even sat with her, to learn, but I sadly couldn't.
So do you do rangolis? Do you draw rangolis in Nepal? Have you ever drawn?
Yeah, but it was 2 years back. Me and my mother, we decided let's just make one, and we made a very small one. Since we live in a apartment, I don't think we were allowed to, so we just made a small, right by the door, and it was pretty cute. I mean, me and my mother tried at least.
How much would you rate yourself in the field of decoration of rangoli? How well do you think you can do?
Might say like a 5 because
Five?
yeah, I mean mid. I won't say I'm very nice, neither am I very bad. When I'm focused on it, I do very well. But when I'm just not in the mood, I'm like, never mind.
So it depends on your mood.
Technically, because last time when my aunt was making, I actually joined in and I made a pretty nice one. So
Coming back to the cultures and all, what would you think that what do you think is a necessity in the Nepalese culture that you think it as a point of view from India, Indian citizen, what do you think that something that needs to be implemented in the culture of Nepal that would make the religion more better, more beautiful than it already is?
I don't think there is anything specific like that because Nepal itself is very vast about these cultures and all. I think Nepal has even more rituals and all than India, so I don't think there is anything that should be implemented here. It's just that India is like, we have a lot of rituals in India also, but here in Nepal I think there are twice as much as India's, so there is nothing that should be implemented here.
So, just a quick question. It's my curiosity. uh, every day, like before coming to school, do you do some? I think you do some rituals. Like me, I always pray to God. I say, "Let my day be good. Let it go peacefully." And what type of what type of ritual do you do, like
No,
praying and all?
I'm not that religious. I usually pray like when there is like a festival or anything, like a nice occasion, probably before my exam. That's the only time I find myself, going and praying. I'm not that huge of a, religious person, but sometimes I do go. Sometimes it's not like daily, but when I feel that I should, I go. I don't do it daily.
Oh, so that's nice. And
And it's not that
no,
nice.
I mean it's not nice, but it's
Yeah, compared to you, it's very bad.
it's yeah. I mean, but it's good to see you joining in our culture,
Yes, I guess.
trying to fit in, and talking about your you going back to India. Do you have any plans about visiting India or going back to India?
This year, probably not in the Saint year because we have SE, so I won't be going to India. But probably after my SE is done, I might visit for like a small vacation or something. But that's also not completely fixed. It might change, but definitely not in the Saint year. We usually go every year, right, for the Saint year. But this year, since we have SE, I probably won't visit.
So you said because of SE you could not visit. What was the last time that you visited India?
Last year only, like
Oh.
the last year, October, November, that time only I visited.
That time.
Yeah.
What was your occasion for visiting?
Dasetiyar, because we
Ah.
have 1 month holiday for our school. So it was a very nice opportunity. So, yeah.
So nice. So what did you do there?
Usually, when we go to India, we like to relax because we visited after such a long time.
Like a vacation?
Yeah, but this time it was quite different. We had fun, right? We relaxed also, but at the same time, we also explored. My dad took me to places that he has a deeper connection with. Like for example, he took me to visit the old house that we used to live in Mumbai. So it was a very memorable thing for me because I got to see where I used to live when I was just like 3-4 years old.
Oh, wow.
So obviously I don't remember. So we explored quite a lot this year. We went to the beach and all. It was very fun.
It was very fun.
Yeah.
So talking about going back to the studies, what differences do you find in the studies that is provided in India and the studies that is provided here?
That's a very great question. Here in Nepal, I think we start the stuff very earlier. Like when I came to Nepal, the mathematics was completely different than what I was reading in India. Okay, like
Oh.
I just when I was it was in fourth grade. I finished my final exams in India, and I came here. And when I saw the CMaths textbook, I was genuinely very surprised because so many things there were like something I've never heard of. Okay, like it was completely different, and it made me sort of anxious. Like, will I be able to do this? So it was very hard. No, the studies here are very nice though. I think compared to India, I love the studies that they provide here. Like the facilities are also very nice, especially in Babylon. Very nice facilities. So yes,
Yeah, it is a nice school.
yeah.
So going back to what you said, so how well could you intercept? How well did you adapt to the CMath textbook? That was completely different from. Wasn't it complex for you?
I mean, the first year in fifth grade when I came, it was like already the first term was like in 12 days, and it was very hectic for me because first of all the syllabus was completely different, and I had only 12-18 days for the first term to come. But that time, I think Om sir,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
He was such a supportive
It's
sir.
very nice.
Yeah, he's very nice. He's still in the school. When he joined back, I was very happy because I remembered that in fifth grade, even if I did pretty bad, he would always encourage me. Like, go on, you can probably do this. You could do better than that. So he was very nice with me when it came to mathematics. He would always help me with the problems that I had, issues on. So I think I did fine in catching up.
You did fine in catching up. How good were your grades? Because right now you are a brilliant student. So how well were your grades then? When the studies were completely complex, the everything was different for you than what you had studied in India. So how did you told me how you adapted to it,
Yeah.
but how good were the results?
In final term, fifth grade, as
Yeah.
much as I remember, I got like A. It wasn't as what I expected, because back in India when I came here in Nepal, I got like 96% or
Oh
something,
my god.
and that's why when I came here and I got just A, I was quite disappointed. Obviously, anyone would be, but it was still fine because considering that I joined very late, it was still nice that I got A, at least A. I mean,
So going back to the topic of 96%,
oh my god.
were you a bright student when you were in India?
I mean, it
I
was
mean, you still are, but
technically I'm fine right now, but that time, yeah, I was pretty nice in studies. That's the main reason I got admission here, and like I mean, I was definitely nice in studies, right? But I wasn't those toppers or anything because there were way better students in my class in India. Especially, we had like 60 students in a class. So it was like a big competition.
oh.
Yeah.
So how well would you compete against them?
Right now,
No, no. Then
then pretty fine. I mean, I probably came in the top 5, I guess.
top 5.
Maybe.
So what about now?
Now I'm not sure because we don't have the top 10, top
Ah.
15 thing anymore. But yeah.
So how would you evaluate yourself in studies?
I don't know. I mean, I'm fine.
You're
I,
fine.
I should probably, I do have some things that I have to improve on. Like there is OMath and then there is CMath also. CMath I'm doing pretty fine. OMath I really need to improve on that. And talking about Nepali, since I wasn't aware about the language, I do pretty well in Nepali also. I could improve. But I think for now I'm pretty satisfied with my result for Nepali.
So we have two subjects
Yeah.
that are in
Nepali.
Nepalese language. The social, that
Social,
Samajik,
Samajik.
that got converted to Samajik. And-
Nepali.
yeah, to Nepali language. And then we got
Nepali itself.
So when you first came in 5th grade, what were you thinking? Like, did you think you were completely screwed, or what did you think?
That time we had Sanskrit and Nepali. Social that time was in English, so social wasn't that big of a deal because I could do well in it since it was in English. But Nepali and Sanskrit I was very bad at. I was very bad at Sanskrit. And Nepali, as for Nepali, you know, I got used to the language pretty easily. I mean,
Similar.
similar words and sentences. So I did very well, in catching up with the language. But I did do pretty bad in 5th grade compared to right now. I did very bad that time.
So when you initially came to Nepal, how well could you like comprehend the Nepalese language?
I think quite a lot of the sentences and the words that the people were speaking, I could just understand it. I don't know why, but when I heard like one of my friend speaking in Nepali, I could somewhat understand. To a certain level, I could understand what they're speaking and what they mean, but I just couldn't, reply to them in Nepali.
I think that's because Nepali and Hindi language
They are similar.
quite similar.
Quite similar.
Most of the words are similar, same too, exactly
Yeah,
same.
it's some of the words are very similar, and some are even same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's with your Nepalese language. What was your reaction when you knew about social getting converted into Samajik?
Oh my god, I was so disappointed. I remember telling my mother that this should be changed back to English because obviously I wasn't still that well into Nepali language, and when Samajik turned into Nepali, it was more stressful for me. So I remember telling to my mother that no, I don't want this to be in Nepali. Please tell them to make it in English. And but it's fine. It's still the same thing now. I don't mind it being in Nepali right now, but I would definitely love if they still change it to English. No problem.
So even my friends who are Nepalese, who are born Nepalese, they still struggle with Samajik.
Oh,
So how well would you think how good you are? How were your results in the time when the social got converted into Samajik?
actually, as much as I remember, I got B plus, I think, I think it was Aruna ma'am teaching us, and she helped me a lot when it came to writing the answers. Like, how do you write it? Like, what should be at the end of the sentence, and how you write. Like, she explained it all very well to me. So I got B plus as much as I remember.
B plus is good. So,
Technically, but
taking the note in mind that you are new to the language and you are completely like a samajik in social is already a very vast
vast
thing.
subject.
It's everything about the society that we need to learn, and that in Nepali,
Yeah, it was a task, difficult task.
for you, of course, B plus is it's a great achievement type thing.
Yeah,
Because the first exam of samajik, and that's really nice.
yeah, my mother was pretty happy with me that time, I think.
You think? I bet so, yes.
I mean, I don't know if she's pretty happy with my Samajik and Nepali. I think she's very happy with my Nepali results. She even said it to me that I did very well in Nepali, but I'm not sure about Samajik.
Yeah, not sure about samajik. How well are you doing against the Nepalese language subjects right now?
Right now, if I have to say, I'm doing pretty fine. I mean, compared to my previous results of Nepali and Samajik, I've definitely improved a lot, especially when it comes to writing. In social, we have to write like 2-3 pages. So, in that aspect, I've improved a lot. And even for Nepali, it's just basically free writing somewhat,
Yeah.
and you need to understand the grammar. That's basically it. I think if I do a bit more, attention, like if I pay more attention on the grammar part, I'm pretty sure I'll get good marks.
Well, how well did you do before term, the previous term,
The first
first
term.
term?
First term, I got B plus in Nepali, and Samajik also. I think I got B or B plus, somewhere around there.
So that's nice. And going more further into the studies, how long do you study at house? Because right now, us 10th graders, we have
Tuition.
6 to 6
Yeah.
day boarders. So how much do you study at home?
See, we have school, as you said, like 6 to 6. After I go home, I usually just get fresh a bit, and since I've completed most of the homeworks in school only, so I usually just rest at home. I later on, if there is anything that I've not done and it's very important, like it's literally due tomorrow, I do it. And otherwise, most of the homeworks I finish them in school, because we obviously have tuition break and even lunch break. I complete in those time, and that's it.
So
Yeah, my mother actually saw your podcast, the last one with Kavya.
is it
Yeah, and she told me to get some tips from you.
tips about studying?
Yeah, because
Oh.
you said that you have a entire routine and stuff. She told me you should learn from him.
Oh, auntie, if you're watching this, it's for you. So I'll tell you about the whole thing. So what you need to do is first, while you study, I don't recommend you do anything else except study while the teacher is teaching.
Yeah.
Because I see my friends doing homeworks and all while the teacher is teaching. Because of course the teacher has his back turned.
Yeah, towards the
Towards the board,
board.
and then they take advantage, they copy it so quickly. So I think that's the one of the major problems. If you pay attention to the class and understand what the teacher is saying, I think that's like 50% of the thing already done, already over. So and what you need to do is you have to go to your house and then revise the thing. So like let's say we are talking something about honeybees biology.
Yeah.
So it's about the type of honeybees, the life cycle.
Yeah,
You are-
that's pretty easy.
yeah, that's it's
Example.
example, and it's pretty easy. But you see the teacher writing on the board, and you understand it thoroughly. So you go to your house, you just try to explain it to yourself. See, teaching it to yourself. I think it's actually scientifically proven that
Oh.
teaching something that you know right now. Like let's say I know driving a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm teaching you driving. Now what happens is I learn more about driving because
yeah.
because teaching something, it makes your brain go through everything so that it comes off as a nice output so that the student can understand. So that way teaching something can be better. So I recommend you learn stuff at house and then you come to school, teach students who are weak, whether it be your friends or somebody who you don't know. And if you do that, it's mostly you will get good grades. But even if you want to take it up a notch, just do everything you can. Like, let's say you are out of topics, right? Let's say you are talking about the type of honeybees, the queen bee, worker bee, drone bee, and you know everything about it, like every
The life cycle and
yeah,
all.
life cycle and all. You know every aspect that was taught in the school today. Now, what I want you to do is take a few revision steps, write it down, and revise about it, and study what's going to happen tomorrow. Okay?
Also, like
So
beforehand
yeah,
preparation.
beforehand. So it makes it easier for you. And the another thing that I'd recommend, that I use myself, and what I'd recommend to others is that make a schedule for the entire week, not just a singular day, but the entire week. I said this in my previous
Yeah.
podcast too. So yeah. In conclusion, what would you say? This original topic is about Tracky. We went a lot
A
out
lot
of
about that.
we went out of the way, out of the track.
Yeah.
So while we are also telling about studies,
What's your favorite festival? I mean, is it Raksha Bandhan?
me,
Yeah.
Raksha Bandhan, it's somewhere. It's on the upper quartile, but I like Tihar. I love
Oh my god.
I love exploding stuff. Well,
Okay,
in conclusion, let's finish it up. Let's
Yeah.
wrap it up. So, in conclusion, that's all for today's episode.
Yeah, I mean,
We
exactly.
spoke, we spoke quite a lot about tracking and all. Also, study tips. I gave a lot of study tips.
Yeah, I mean, I think quite a lot of people who are watching, they'd also love this.
Especially Pollock's mother, auntie.
Oh my god.
I hope you are watching and follow the tips that I've told her.
Yeah,
So
she would.
that
She
is
would.
it for this week's episode, people. So tune in another week for new hosts, new guests, and new topics, and it will be so fun exploring new
Exploring,
topics.
yes.
So that is it from us. Bye, people. Bye bye.
Bye bye.